Welcome to Wheels, Deals, and Meals, where we talk all things good food, good business, and good cars. And now, here is your host, Arnold Garcia, founder and CEO of Petra Automotive Products. Let's roll.
All right. We are here in Louisville, Kentucky. So if you don't like bourbon, well, they have a lot of other stuff besides bourbon, but if you like bourbon, this is obviously the town and the state to come to. We have a little bit of bourbon here that we're already starting to drink before we have dinner. This particular restaurant that we're at, Uptown Cafe, 180 different bourbons. And of course, Jamil and I don't like bourbon, so we feel very out of place in this. But I want to thank Jamil Zabaneh for being here. He is the president of J&L Marketing. We're going to get to know more about that. But Jamil, thanks for
pleasure,
being on the show. We finally did it, man.
Cheers. It's good.
Butch always says that the more we drink, the better the interview gets.
All right. Well, we'll test that.
Yeah, we'll test that theory. Our tolerance may be a little bit stronger, so we may have a long telethon of a show. So, Jamil, what is the car that you want to have in the Jamil Museum?
Okay, so the one vehicle, if I could have it, it would be a 57 Bel Air.
Okay.
Convertible.
Okay.
I think they're the most unique vehicles out there. They're
Classic
timeless,
America.
Timeless, beautiful vehicle. You don't see it on the road often anymore. That would be kind of my dream car.
You know, I'm going to tell you a funny story about 57 Chevrolet. So as Petra was growing, or early on in our business, as we were growing, we were running out of space all the time. And so we had this warehouse, and across the street was another warehouse. And I went to the people renting it, and I said, hey, can I, I'd like to rent this place.
Yeah.
And so she takes me to see it, and inside is a 57 Chevy, but rusted out, not taken care of, kind of like just thrown in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, does the 57 Chevy come with the place? She says, no, I'm just letting a friend of mine keep it here. I said, well, if he wants to sell it, let me know. And so we rented the place. She obviously called him to get the car out. And some friends and I are in New York. I happened to be in New York with a couple that owned a repo company, repo company in Houston. And the guy calls me up. Mm-hmm. Actually, the office called me up, and he walked in. He says, look, I want to get rid of the car. I don't need it. So I said, okay, well, I'll give you $500 for it. He said, no, I'd like $2,500. I said, look, I don't need the car. I said, but I'll take it off your hands. I really don't know what I'm going to do with it. Kind of like the idea of having it. I'll give you $500. I'll take it right now.
How was the condition of it?
No, it was all original, right? Rusted out. Everything was original, and it needed a lot of work. Mm-hmm. So he's like, no. So he leaves, comes back within a few hours, says, look, give me $1,500. I said, listen, I'll give you $500. I haven't picked up today. I have no. It's not like I'm dying to have this car. I need this car. It happens to be in the space I'm going to rent. I'll give you $500, and that's it. I said, you really literally had it thrown there anyway. It's not like you're doing anything with it. So about 30 minutes after that, the guy agrees to $500. So I'm with
Remind me not to negotiate with you.
I have my friends pick up the car, but she did it for free. So they get the record. She takes the car to her storage facility where they kept the repos, mm-hmm. right? So I literally haven't touched the car except I saw it that one day that I walked in the warehouse. The same people and I go on a trip to Miami where they have that guy that comes out on TV that does all the restorations. He has all the cars in Miami. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. So they were a fan of that show, and we stopped at the place, and lo and behold, he's there with his wife. He invites us to the office. We're just chit-chatting, talking about her repo company and my company. And I tell him, hey, I just bought this 57 Chevy. He asked me how the condition is. I said, blah, blah, blah. I said, what do you think I should do with it? He said, put it on Craigslist and sell it. I said, really? You don't think I should fix it up? He goes, no. He goes, if you want one fixed up, buy it fixed up. But you're going to spend an arm and a leg trying to fix up that car. He goes, somebody will do it for you, right? Mm-hmm. Just put it on Craigslist. I said, what do you think I should sell it for? He said, I'd put it in for $6,000, $6,000. So I put it for $65,000. Sold it within 72 hours.
$6,000 profit.
The people went to the repo place, picked it up. I've never touched this car. But that 57 Chevy was a pass-through in my life. But anyway, I mean,
You regret selling it?
huh?
You regret selling it?
You know, not really, because I mean, I would have to give it to somebody, right? I'm not that handyman. I would have to give it to somebody to restore it, and who knows how much it would have cost. I would love, like you, to have, right, already restored, beautiful, that you just take around for a ride, show off the chrome. It's an iconic car.
Amazing.
I just don't know how much money I would have sunk into it had I hired somebody to do it. So, one day we'll both have it. We'll both have it one day. So it's funny because when I was thinking about starting this interview and I missed it, I was going to say a couple of things about Scott, right? So here's for those, because I know some people are going to watch the show that know Scott, who is part of and the founder of J&L. But we always, and everybody, and Scott is a good-humored guy, but if you ever have seen The Wizard of Oz, I think of J&L like that, right? Okay. So Scott is the machine that talks, right? But behind that machine is Jamil, who actually does the work, actually gets the stuff done, and actually tells Scott what's going on, So that was my vision and my introduction of Jamil and J&L Marketing. All right, so of all the places you've traveled, what's the favorite place you've gone to?
I have to say my favorite place is Belize, because that's where my family's from. So
And you were born there?
My father was born there,
Okay.
came over here, he was in his 20s, met my mom, and then had us. And then every summer...
So had us here in Louisville?
Yep, had us in Louisville. He met my mom in Louisville, Kentucky. And so every summer growing up, we would go back to Belize, pretty much for at least 4 to 5 years through my middle school and high school. So that's a special place in my heart. We just went back. I took my wife back in January, and we stayed.
Was that her first time?
That's her first time that she's been. So what happens is I went a ton as a kid, graduated school, got busy, always
you get off
found
the
a
plane and go,
reason.
this is my land.
Well, we're very fortunate. We have a lot of family there, and a lot of our family has hotels and resorts. So my cousin Basilio owns a beautiful couple resorts. One's called Coco Plum, and then one's called Manta. And both are rated from Travelocity as the top 10 destinations in the world.
No kidding.
Like most romantic, most iconic. It's an island. They bring food on. They have private chefs. It's an amazing place to go and relax. So we were very fortunate when we went to the Manta Island. It was a great time. So to say it's Belize.
You took the kids yet, or just your wife?
It's just me and her. So
Yeah.
to me, it's a great country because you have the islands, but then you also have the rainforest. So you have a lot of different opportunities, and the food there is phenomenal.
Is it a mixture of like Latin food?
So you have Belizean dishes,
Right.
right? You like stewed chicken and rice and beans, but then you get a lot of like
Plantains?
a lot of Central American food, and then my family's also Arabic. So then when we go to people's houses, we have some Arabic food as well.
That's good. I mean, Arabic sometimes is related to Persian food, right? I love Persian food. I mean, it's funny because of all the Arabic countries I've traveled to, my favorite Persian food is in Bahrain.
Oh wow!
So in Bahrain, there's this Persian restaurant, Iranian restaurant, that the food is incredible. And it's not a buffet, but it's like a buffet because, first of all, I don't order, our customer orders, and they just come and lay these massive plates, right? The rice and the, chicken and the lamb, and, it's a phenomenal.
What's great about Belize is it's the only English-speaking country in all of Central America, because it used to be owned by England. It was called British Honduras. So they take U.S. currency. Everyone there speaks English for the most part. It's a great place to visit.
If you don't speak English, what else would you speak?
Spanish.
Spanish, okay.
Yeah, because of the influence of Central America.
All right, bucket list. What is the one place you really want to go see, travel that you haven't been to?
We are going next April to Italy. I've heard such great things about Italy.
First time in Italy?
First time.
You're gonna love
So
it. We're in Italy.
We're excited. We're doing Florence. We're doing Venice. And then we're doing the Amalfi Coast as of right now. We're still planning it, but it's already booked in terms of April.
You're going to love this. Venice is one of my Italy is one of my favorite countries. Venice is one of my favorite cities. Venice, you can turn the corner in any of these little passage, hallways, sidewalks they have, and you turn a corner, and whatever restaurant is there, you just go in. They probably have 6 tables, and you're going to eat phenomenal. And it doesn't matter.
Sounds like my kind of place.
Yeah, and you can just go around another corner, and it's just an amazing place. So you're gonna love it for sure. What's your favorite kind of food? What's your favorite type of food?
That's a hard one. Probably Mexican, Latin, because we've always had the thing, like, if you had to eat the same thing every single day, what would it be? Like, I'd get sick of Italian after a while. Probably Latin, Mexican food, if not, maybe Arabic food.
Okay, all right. What does your wife cook?
So she cooks all types of stuff, but she doesn't do any of the Middle Eastern food.
Okay.
So I have to go some other places to get that.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say it's a tough one, you know, to get that kind of food cooked in that way. So let me ask you. So your dad immigrates to U.S. Louisville, Kentucky, of all places.
Yeah. So what brought him here?
Yeah. Why? Why Louisville, Kentucky?
So my dad is, and our family's obviously Catholic. So in Belize, he went to a Catholic high school, and it had a partnership with a Catholic university here in Louisville called Bel Air. And his sister, that pretty much raised my father, she had moved here as well because of that partnership. So when he had graduated high school and it was time to go on, he wanted to come and live with his sister, which was somewhat of his mom.
Yeah.
And there was that partnership with Bellarmine University. So that's what brought him here. And then, of course, my mom is why he stayed. Because I think that, there was opportunities to move back to Belize because he was the only brother. And, he had between stepbrothers and brothers 13, right? He was the only brother that actually moved out of Belize. All of his other brothers stayed in Belize.
Okay. So he moves here. Now we know why. Gets married, has you. Where did you grow up? What part of Louisville?
So we grew up, and it's a little...
When you continue to be as successful as you are, where are they going to put the statue? This is the neighborhood that he grew up in.
So we grew up in Linden, I guess would be the place. Just like any immigrant that comes into the United States, takes a lot of hard work. So my dad is a role model of mine because of his hard work. Growing up, he worked in a plant, worked third shift, worked his way all the way up to team lead of that plant, then became plant manager of that plant, and then got the role at actually J&L running our operations department. So I grew up and I watched him work hard, whether it was working nights or working throughout the day and then coming home and taking me to soccer and then going back to work. That was the culture that I was built in. So that's kind of how I've modeled myself when I've gone to work,
Work hard.
It's just that work ethic.
It is true. Immigrants that come here for the right reasons are hard workers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I saw that in my dad too. My dad worked 16, 17, 18-hour days.
And never complained.
And never complained. Came home, slept a little, went back and did it.
Right.
And it is a role model for how to work today. Do you think that the younger new generation gets that?
Probably not. No, probably not. Unfortunately not.
Yeah. I have a feeling that too, I'm sure there's a lot of hard workers out there. There's exceptions to every rule. But I think in general, I am concerned of work ethics, right? Doesn't mean they're bad people. Doesn't mean they have the wrong heart. It's just the work ethic doesn't seem to be there.
Yeah.
It's I also think that and correct me where I'm wrong, probably as you grew up, you wanted to get ahead and have things, and you bought your first starter home, and then you built that and bought the next home, and you bought your used car,
right.
And then you bought the next car, and you always wanted to get up and get ahead and keep growing. Where I think also this generation is content with, right? And there's sometimes you don't see that vision going forward. Hopefully it'll change because America has so much to offer, and hard work has so much to offer.
Agreed.
It can reward you tremendously.
I think about my dad, and I think about, because all my sisters are hardworking too. And I think it's because we grew up that we saw that the hard work that my dad put in, because we were in a 3-bedroom apartment, sharing rooms, up till probably fourth grade. I was in 4th grade, and then we got our first house. And then Dad continued to work and worked harder and harder and harder, and then we got a bigger house. So we saw that as kids. So then naturally, when we graduated college, we said, well, this is the path. I mean, we were talking about as a family, I've been at J&L Marketing for 15 years. My sister, my oldest sister, has been at her company for 14 years. My middle sister has been at her company for 18 years.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is loyalty that we saw with my father. My father had worked at 2 companies his whole career, essentially, once he got through, school and all that type of stuff. So you kind of match and mirror your role models. And for us, he was a big role model for us.
Is your dad still alive?
Yeah.
That's good. Here in Louisville?
Yeah, he lives in Louisville. Both my parents live in Louisville, so it's amazing.
That's great. Okay, so you grew up in what section again?
It's about Linden area.
Linden area?
Yeah, we kind of bounced around a little bit.
You go to elementary school there?
No. In Kentucky, in Louisville, we do busing. So I actually went to school downtown, in downtown Louisville.
So what's busing? Like they take kids from one area and take them to another area?
Yeah.
No,
It's a little bit different. I know in Houston, you guys don't do that.
So,
And we probably shouldn't do that, to be honest with you. But yeah, no, I actually went to school downtown.
So if you go to public
elementary
school, they bus people around.
Mm-hmm. They're getting better at it by doing clusters, but it was a way to mix everybody together. So I went to school downtown, a place called Corge Taylor. And then I went to middle school at what's called a traditional school.
So your neighbor friend could be going to a different school?
100%. So the way it works is we all get picked up on the same bus, and then they drive you to a depot, and then you catch another bus to the school that you're actually going
to the
to.
end destination.
Yeah.
So
it's a
and I
crazy
get why
concept.
they were trying to do that. Yeah, I know. I get why they were trying to do that, but then you lose we are all in the neighborhood, we're all growing up together, we all bike together, we all play
100%.
together. You lose that.
Yeah.
Which is very important, because that's probably, in my elementary years, more than the elementary school.
Correct.
That's what I remember the most.
It's getting better, but it's still that way.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where did you graduate from high school?
I went to a Catholic school called Trinity High School here in Louisville, an all-boys school.
Good old Catholic.
That's right.
Now, they say that those that go to Catholic school, good old boys schools, are really partiers. That's what the rumors are.
Well,
Probably have to have another one to talk to your wife about this. Or your parents. They would know.
there might be a little truth to that, but it's an amazing high school. I came from public all the way up to high school, and I didn't think I'd like an all-boys Catholic school. And I think it was a great time to mature, great time to really reflect and have good values. There's great retreats that they do.
Yeah.
And, if
Now,
I
was
could do it
there
all
a-
over again,
and
that's where I
there's a
go.
girls'
All-girls school. Yeah.
school as well. Did your wife go to that one?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. See, that's what they also say. So you guys graduate from high school, Catholic high school, and then what do you do next?
So I didn't know her in high school. We actually met at Western Kentucky University. I went down there to go play soccer and played my freshman year before I got hurt.
So out of high school, you went there.
And then that's where she went. And then we met freshman year, and we were best friends. And then we started dating junior year.
And did you graduate from there?
Yep, graduated from there. Both of us did.
Okay. What's your degree in?
I had marketing, econ, and entrepreneurship. So I did a double major with a minor.
Okay. And so when you graduate from college, how old are you?
22? I graduated right in 08. Great time to come out of school and go look for a job.
And so
08,
what was
09.
your first job after you graduated?
I went and worked for a company called Standard Register. So at the time, they were a Fortune 1000 company, and they had 32 print facilities across the country. So they did printing and document management for hospitals, banks. So they did all the statements that you used to get in the mail. They did all the medical records that used to be printed off and the doctors would
Had
do.
to
And,
save somewhere.
correct, and they'd file it, and then for manufacturing, they did all the labels. So like for like a lawnmower, don't stick your hand underneath there. So I went and worked for them because I had a little bit of background on the print side with J&L Marketing, and I'd run printers and so on. So they saw
this was high school or college when you had that little experience?
I did. I worked in the print shop in high school and a little bit in college because my father was running operations.
So when you were in high school was the first time you were working for J&L?
That's correct. It was probably freshman, sophomore year. My dad would call me up. This is a funny story. My dad would call me up, call the house phone, and it would be a Wednesday, Thursday night. He'd tell my mom, I need to talk to Jamil. And he'd say, son, I need you to work third shift tonight. Because we had, J&L at the time had sold so many direct mailers for the car industry. So I was the kid that on Friday morning, my friends would say, why are you so tired? And I was like, I was working for dad till about 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'd literally work till about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and then go in the next day.
That's a great story. How old were you?
Sophomore in high school.
So-
now, normally he would do it on Friday nights because he didn't want me to go out on Friday night. So he'd say, you're working third shift. So then I'd work all the way till Saturday
It's also
morning.
smart because Catholic schools, you know? So you were 15 or so.
Yeah,
And you were working the third shift on a
Yeah.
Friday night
yeah,
to get things out. That's incredible.
yeah. So, and you know, I really enjoyed my time. Now looking back, my dad severely underpaid me because I know now what they were all making. And he was,
Well, that's part of the plan, though. You know,
he was bringing
Look,
me
it's,
in.
it's getting experience. You know, there's a value to that.
He was bringing me in because he didn't want to pay overtime to his guys for me to work his swing shift or his third shift. So he was avoiding overtime, but he wasn't even paying me what he was paying all the other guys. He was paying me half of what he was paying those
That's
guys.
hilarious. And that seems like a dad probably doing
That's right.
that kind of stuff. All right, so you're 15, 16 years old, working part-time,
Yep.
third shift at J&L.
Mm-hmm.
Did you stop when you went to college and then picked up, or you pretty much since you were 15 were somehow working with J&L?
So I always helped dad out till probably freshman, sophomore year of college. So throughout high school, I'd always do hours in the print shop. Of course, just like any high school kid, I did landscaping, I was a server. So, I mean, one summer I had 3 jobs just because, you know, I wanted to have money. Now, when I went in college and after I left soccer, I went and worked for Oreck Vacuum. And
Like house to house or at a
no, we actually had a store.
storefront.
So the funny story on that is I quit soccer.
house to house was Kirby, I think.
Correct, a Rainbow.
Okay, yeah.
So funny story on that is I quit soccer because of injuries, but my dad's not happy. So I said, Dad, I'm going to make up for the scholarship difference. I'm going to get a job. So I call up one of the J&L sales reps. And he goes, oh, I got a dealer that's in Bowling Green you can go work for and sell cars on the weekend. You'll make great money, Jamil. So you know the automotive world. I show up, got my suit on, my tie. I wait for this general manager for 3 hours. He never shows up.
Was his name Scott?
No. But you know how deep, general man. So on the way back, I'm like, I got to get a job. I told my dad I was going to have this job. And on the ride back, there was a little strip mall. It had
So
books.
you never saw the guy?
No, he never showed up. So then there was like a Barnes and Noble and all this little strip center. And I was like, I have to be able to call my father and tell him I had a job. So I went to all the stores, and one of the stores was Oreck Vacuums. And I walked in, and the guy said, son, are you going to show up? I said, yes, sir. He goes, are you going to show up on Saturdays even when there's a football game? Because my last 2 or 3 workers did not. And I said, yes, sir, I'll show up. And he said, are you mechanically inclined? And I said, honestly, sir, not really, you know, but I'm a good learner. And so they started me off fixing vacuum cleaners in the back. And then I ended up working my way
That's
up.
great. Are you going to show up? Are you do this?
Yeah, yeah.
Are you mechanically inclined? No. Okay, we're going to put you as a mechanic.
Well, because that's how they started, just fixing the vacuums.
Yeah.
And then
Plus, it gets you to know the product.
correct. So then they started me as a service tech, and then long story short, I worked my way up and ran the store. So I basically have
So how long from you were a mechanic to work your way up and running the store?
about 9 months.
No kidding.
Yeah, I went from there to salesperson to assistant manager to co-general manager to general manager of the store. And then the next semester, I only went to school Tuesdays and Thursdays, went basically from 9 in the morning till 9 at night, so that way I could get my 40 hours in because I was running the store Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
So you were at this point probably about 20?
I was probably about 20 years old, working 40 hours. Check this out, making $40,000 while in college
Damn, it's not bad.
in 2004, 2005
Yeah.
in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
I think that's great. That's phenomenal. But you know what? Again, we go to that ethic of work. It didn't work out at the dealership. You didn't go home and go, it didn't work out. I got to figure this out. On your way home, you stopped at a mall and went to every store and asked for a job.
Yes.
That is the secret to success is out hustling and out working the other guy.
Back then, it was probably more of a fear of kind of making that
Your
call to
dad.
my
But that works too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works too. The fear of the parent is a good thing. It's a healthy thing in some ways, you know. So it made you be better. So you did that.
Mm-hmm.
So when did you quit that, and what was next?
I did it all the way through senior year, and the only reason why I left that job is at Western, we had to take, my last semester, we had to take a class that was only offered on Fridays. So then
You did that for the next 2 years.
Yeah, I did that.
Graduated from college, quit the job, and then from there you went to work at
Standard Register.
Standard Register.
They were a big sponsor of the WKU Business School. I was recommended by a lot of the professors for them. At the time, they were a huge Fortune 1000 company doing print and document management. So I went and worked for them.
And how long did you stay with them?
I only stayed there for a year. Scott convinced me to come to J&L and start selling at J&L
So
Marketing.
Scott, the owner of J&L, who your dad worked for, convinced you to come, and instead of working the third shift, what was the position that he offered you now?
He started me in sales.
In sales.
He started me in sales. And I had great training and great experience from Standard Register because they had trained me to speak to C-level executives. So we were working with Texas Roadhouse, Yum Brands, the Kentucky state government for doing all their checks. So they gave me some really good training that really helped me out into J&L.
So you become a salesman. How long did you do that?
Did that for about 10 months, and then I got promoted to national accounts, which in our world, that's kind of like, think about key accounts, right? Calling on the manufacturers, the large dealer groups, the key accounts.
Okay. And how long did you do that for?
Probably 5-6 years.
So in total, 8 years, more or less?
Yeah,
Salesman and national account?
yeah.
And then what's next?
And then Scott offered me the role to be the president of the company.
Smartest thing the guy ever did. Like you ask anybody, they all say the smartest thing Scott did is
appreciate
put
that.
you as president.
I appreciate
you know?
that.
And now we just got to figure out a way to get Scott to not worry too much about the decisions.
He's done a good job at that. He really has.
Ah, come on.
So the driving force for me taking the role, because, you know, when you're making a lot of money in sales and you're doing well and you're really enjoying your job, the idea of running a company and having all this extra stress on you, isn't that appealing, right? Especially since you feel like you've got through the worst part in sales, which is
Right.
building your book, taking care of your clients. It was really my love of digital marketing. I had kind of started building a digital marketing product for J&L Marketing behind the scenes while I was in sales. And Scott originally came to me to take over the company. I told him no. And then he came in my office 2 weeks later, and you know him, he's a salesperson himself. And he said, let me tell you how this is going to go. Or just imagine this. I'm going to hire I'm going to hire a president of the company. And what if I hire somebody that doesn't like the direction of digital marketing of where you're taking the company? What are you going to do then? And that's really what caused me, because we had built amazing product on the paid search side, display advertising side, that really pushed me to say, okay, I think this is where I want to be.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
Tell people what J&L does.
We are a direct and digital marketing agency. We serve the automotive industry. We serve a little bit in the home and services industry, the agriculture industry, but primarily a direct and digital marketing agency.
And you know what? One thing that we got to give credit for is Scott knows talent.
Appreciate
He
that.
can pick talent.
Yes.
And he picked the right guy to run J&L. You guys are, you've grown by leaps and bounds.
Yes.
Well respected in the industry. You are well respected in the industry. What do you tell, let's say your kid's graduating from college today, or for a young person comes to you, 20, 22 years old, and wants to go out there and do what Jamil did. Work hard, become a salesman, grow in a company, work his way to president. What are 2 things that you would tell that kid, young adult, that he really needs to do in order to succeed?
Nothing is given. You have to earn everything in life. I think entitlement is one of the worst things that people can have, because when you have that entitlement, or you feel like you deserve something, everything else follows suit. You don't work as hard. You're not as passionate because you're down in the dumps. So when you work hard, good things always happen. You've always heard the saying, you create your own luck in life. And that is 100% true. You create your luck by working hard. And then number 2 is karma is real. You take care of people, you do right, you do what's right for your customers internally and externally, and good things always come to you. Always comes to you. It's so funny at J&L, whenever we've gone above and beyond and done something for our clients and exceeded their expectations, where maybe we did something for them they were unexpected, goodwill and karma always comes back to you.
That's great. That's very good advice. So work hard, don't be entitled, and then treat people right.
And
Do the right thing.
correct.
Do the right thing is so important too.
Especially when people aren't looking.
Yeah.
People always want to do the right thing when on
nobody's
social
looking,
media.
right, when nobody's looking, do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
When it's quiet time in your office, make the right decisions that nobody else is seeing and looking. That's good advice.
You brought up something earlier. I think one of the biggest challenges with people when they come out of school is time management. In college, and that was one thing that I think me having a full-time job while I was in school and having to balance full-time student and workload is a lack of time management. When you're in school, you have a lot of free time. And it's a very hard adjustment to go from, hey, I was taking 15, 18 hours a week, and then I could kind of study whenever I wanted to no, you got to show up every day for 40 hours a week. And not only that, when you're given a project, you can't wait to the last minute to do it and procrastinate.
Yeah.
So you got to have really, really good time management, blocking out your schedule and making sure you prioritize what's most important, not what's most fun.
Yeah, for sure. That's so true. And because people today, Butch and I had a conversation about this earlier today. You give somebody a project and they procrastinate it till the last minute, and then you guys start asking. Instead of knocking it out of the park, getting it done before the deadline, being impressive.
Correct.
Instead of just being average.
Correct.
So that's also good advice. All right, before we leave, what's a good secret you give us about Scott? I'm just messing with you, man. I'm just messing with you. Hey, Jamil,
Cheers.
great character. I
Thank
wish
you.
you all the success.
Likewise.
You're a great man. Cigars, bourbons, and a great character. What else do you need?
Exactly.
Thank you for listening to Wheels, Deals, and Meals, your main source for all things good and fun, business, food, and cars. If you like this episode, make sure to rate us and subscribe. If you would like to be a guest on our show, please leave a message at the link below. Till next time, happy eating.